put too much emphasis on it, and they try to force the dog to do things, and
Yeah.
they don't take their time to provide an education for the dog, and that's always a problem.
Yeah, and everybody, we're back. I don't know. We got. I don't know what the heck happened there, but we're back, and let's wait for some people here to join us.
Yeah, I don't see myself now, and I saw me before.
Let's see here. Yeah, you should be there.
As
Okay,
long
can
as
you guys see us? I mean, says that we are having somebody comment down below. We're having some issues with the broadcasting thing here. Make sure that you can welcome back. Okay, cool. So we're back. Sorry about that, everybody. Can you hear both Larry and I? Okay,
there I am.
see both of you. Okay, cool.
Okay.
So yeah, people get this collar and they think, okay, cool, that's all that I need. I just need the collar and I throw it on my dog and I start hitting buttons and
Yeah. Well, one thing I noticed, Bill, is people get overexcited. They get really
mm,
excited and they can't wait to use this tool because they think it's going to change everything. And it can. It can change everything for the average person. But you got to take the time to educate the dog a little bit. Just a couple of weeks of education goes a long way for the lifetime of the dog. And people are just too quick to get on there and start pushing buttons, and it's not what you want to do. The people are trying to use it to stop behaviors that the dog don't understand it's doing wrong, and they're trying to use it to enforce behaviors the dog doesn't really know. And that's just it's a recipe for disaster.
well, it feels so different from walking up to a dog and petting them. That touch that they're used to,
Yeah,
the tug on a leash or something like that.
yeah.
And so, this is something that needs to be introduced, and there's no substitute from time.
No,
I mean,
no.
there's nothing that you can do. There's no pill you can take that's going to make it, that time go away. So, you built a little chart this is the very first couple pages of your book here, where we talk about the conditioning phase. So, what is exactly the conditioning phase?
Yeah, and listen, that triangle basically is what it's supposed to be. Again, that's something that I learned years ago from Bart Malone, and that's how
Okay.
he showed it. So I took that from him. I learned it from him. You want to spend time. That bottom part, that conditioning phase, is where you're teaching the language to the dog. The dog don't understand what that weird stimulation is. Like
Right.
you said before, if you give a tug on a leash, you give a bump with your leg, you give a tap with your hand, these are things the dog understands. That's how they live. But when you put this very strange sensation, even at the lowest level, and of course that's where we want to start, it's completely foreign to the dog. And I tell people, and I said this on the last podcast I did, it's equivalent. Imagine going to sit down in a restaurant, only speaking English. The waiter comes up to you, speaks French, and when you don't respond properly, he punches you in the face.
Oh,
You go, what the hell was that for? You had no clue what he was talking about. That's what people are doing with the e-collar. You have to take a couple of weeks if you want the best results. Okay, so you can make headway. You might get something done if you do it improperly, but you're going to find something else. You're going to get some blowback in another area that you're not going to be happy with. So spend a little bit of time to teach the language, and then and only then can you use it in every aspect of dog training. It will make everything better, faster, and sharper, and it will stop the unwanted things very, very fast. What else can you ask for? That's what's going to keep dogs in their home. That's what's going to keep dogs out of the shelter. It's that simple.
yeah. Well, and I mean, think about how you would feel if you saw a waiter walking up and just pounding somebody, I
Well,
mean,
uh, that's a perfect, perfect statement, Bill, because again, sometimes people get upset with me. I know there's popular trainers that hate my guts because I'm very vocal about this. I never call anyone out by name, but the only thing that matters, what you're doing, is how it is perceived by the public.
hmm,
Plain and simple. That's the majority. Okay. So if other dog trainers are okay with what you're doing, maybe being just a little heavy handed, but nothing like abuse or anything, if the general public sees that, that's a problem. That's a problem. That's where we're going to lose out as balanced trainers, because those are the people that the purely positive cult like folks, not all purely positive people are bad trainers, bad people, okay? But when
yeah, right.
you take the fanatics, That's what they're using against us. That's the evidence they use. Okay.
Right.
So when someone slaps an e-collar on a dog with no training, and the people have some kind of unwanted behavior and they light the dog's ass up for everyone to see, then put a video out. Holy shit. You might as well just turn your e-collars in now, because we're going to lose them just like they are every place else.
Right.
Okay. They've lost them in a lot of places. What upsets me is people wait to take the defensive. They wait till everything's on the line. They're like, oh, we got to do something. No, bullshit. You had your chance to do something. You have to do something to avoid that. Do something to where you make it so difficult for them to ever go forward with any kind of evidence or material that shows, look how bad this is. That's our responsibility each as an individual. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Well, it's our responsibility as a higher consciousness being living with an animal. You know,
Absolutely.
we have a different part of our brain, a prefrontal cortex, that allows us so many more capabilities, and we bring this animal into our world, and so it's our obligation to be stewards of these animals. And I often tell people I'm like an attorney for the dog. You know, I
Yeah.
represent the animal. I want the animal's best interests are what I'm looking out for, and I don't care what you. I mean, you can paint any picture you want. You know, I want what's best for this dog, and that's it. Is you know, imagine if you were at a bar and some guy. I mean, sometimes we see, you know, guys be idiots and they fight. You know, and one guy knocked out another guy. You know, but that guy was walking up. So a guy hit on this other guy's girlfriend, or was being really rude to his girl, and he knocked him out. And then we're all like, haha, he just, you know,
Yeah.
that's justified. Then imagine that guy getting on top of this guy that's unconscious and beating him, you know, and that
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
gives you that sick feeling of like, this is wrong. And that's where I kind of go with like that, like this is there's I mean, it's just overkill. And even with my guys that do, you know, too heavy of a correction, when the dog gets it. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying, is that when that guy got it, you know, he got it, and we needed to give it up. And
Yeah.
you know, and watch that dog, like you said, they'd never lie.
Right. Well, listen, it's very easy to talk about dog training. You could say all the right things. It's very easy to sound like an expert. I could sit here and tell you how the heart works. I could tell you all about the myth of cholesterol and high blood pressure. I know all that stuff very, very well. I cannot do heart surgery. Believe me when I tell you. I
Yeah, no
promise
kidding.
you. And I have a lot of knowledge in that area when it comes to health and fitness, but I can't perform heart surgery on you. And today, in today's world, because of social media, people are getting famous by talking about that. And that's okay. That's okay. But sometimes you have to show some work. Now, not everyone has to show work, because not everyone makes dog training videos. You know, there's a lot of phenomenal dog trainers out there that don't put videos out. Doesn't mean that they're not great trainers. But if you're constantly patting yourself on the back, talking about how awesome you are and how everyone else should bow to you, then you have to start showing some work. Before and afters don't work, because when the average person looks, that's impressive. When a decent dog trainer looks, you say, wow, we know what went on there. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
Purple
and
tongue hanging out,
right. And,
or
and as
and
dog
white
trainers,
eye.
you got to remember, again, because of social media, that our egos get inflated. If you have a big following, when I hear dog trainers talking about my fans, are you fucking kidding me? We don't have fans. We have followers. Okay. You know, Aerosmith has fans. Led Zeppelin has fans. No one knows who the hell we are. Okay.
I got
Some,
groupies, man. I got
yeah.
groupies.
I,
My wife, she gets so mad. I'm like, I'm pounding on the bus door. No, just kidding.
Yeah, well, listen, sometimes if you have a popular channel or something, you're going to get recognized. You know, I get
Right,
recognized
right.
every now and then. It's still a weird thing, but I don't
Yeah,
have fans. I have followers. There's a big friggin' difference. If you
yeah.
took three of the greatest trainers on the planet, if you took Bart Ballone, Ivan Balabanov, and you put Michael Ellis on their shoulders and they went walking through any Walmart in the country, no one's going to know who the frig they are. The
I
only
would.
people who know they are is hardcore dog people. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They have followers. They have people that follow them and live by what they say. But people have to understand, we're friggin' dog trainers. We are not curing cancer. We don't have
Yeah,
fans.
no
We
kidding.
have followers. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
Okay, big difference.
Well, and we're on a different podcast, so if you know somebody that was on the other one that wants to be on this, make sure to tag them. Thank you so much for tagging people, Sam, getting them over on this. I don't know what the heck happened, but let me read some comments here. Chart is awesome. Alex Sussman says, yes, I agree. And he says, I never understood people who don't go through conditioning phase. For years, I've never used one just because I knew I didn't know what the process while I was developing other skills. When someone just slaps one on a dog and doesn't spend time conditioning, I just don't understand. That process is actually the most enjoyable process.
Yeah,
Dang,
and
it's a bonding experience.
absolutely, Alex is right,
Yeah.
100% right. That's where you see the dog change. That's where you see the light bulb go off and go, oh, okay,
Yeah, this is
perfect.
pretty cool. I like,
Yeah,
I like what else? And you could see them look around and be like, hey, what else is here? And, and it's like, yeah, dude, let's go check that out. Sam Tabar, I'm on the Build Church groupie.
yeah,
Sammy
yeah.
kid.
I believe it. Sam has made some propositions towards me, and you're better looking than I am, Bill.
I think
Just
it's the
kidding,
beard,
Sam.
dude. I don't know. I think
Yeah,
it's the beard. You just,
yours is bigger. Yours is a lot bigger than mine.
well, and so conditioning is basically is like everything gets a reward, everything's happy, everything's
Yeah.
fun, and spend time bonding with that dog. I'm still conditioning Sunday, who's a dog that I have out here, but I was going to put an e-collar on her right away, but I'm still conditioning her to it to get her to really get a nice solid rapport with me. And so when I do get that e-collar, that she's already readily taken treats from me, and so when I can just overlay that with the fun that we're having,
Mm-hmm.
it just becomes part of that process. But then that's not the end all be all. I mean, we want the dog to be reliable, not just in our yard or where we work with that dog. We want that dog to be reliable in all kinds of situations.
Right. And that's why the next phase, you can't stay there too long. Stay there as long as you want, okay? Because that's where the dog's really learning. When you start adding some distance, some duration to the commands, some distractions, when you start going to new places and start making it a little more difficult, and you start going through those 4 different phases, the intermittent phase where you're mixing things up, that's where the dog's really going to learn. And that's where people fail. And that's why they never get the dog off the e-collar. So if you see my dogs out and about outside of the fence, they never have e-collars on, and they respond like they do 100%. But I don't need them on at this point. With that being said, if I'm going out to a public place away from my home, they're always going to have one on. You have to prepare for what if, but that intermittent phase. And at the top, when the dog's trained and we say the maintenance phase, that's not really correct, because the truth is the dog is never completely trained. It's always a process.
Yeah.
I heard someone say this the other day. I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was. I wish I can give you credit. I can't remember. It was on a podcast, and I can't remember who. Maybe one of the off leash podcasts, I think. But they said the dog's either getting better or getting worse, and that was perfect.
Yeah,
Okay,
I agree.
I wish I came up with that, but I didn't. Someone else came up with that. So whoever said that, if you said it, please give yourself credit. Okay, but and that's 100% true. The dog's either getting better or getting worse. How are you helping that dog or not helping? Very, very simple. So we say maintenance phase once the dog is trained, but in reality, you got to keep up with the stuff. You just do.
Yeah, I mean that's the practice is that we bounce back to the intermittent phase and we boot camp them. I mean, sometimes it's like, okay, you guys, let's see what you got. Make sure that everybody is still remembers what they need to. But also, I mean, the intermittent phase is used, and we call it generalizing or proofing. Right, where
Right.
you bring it out and then let's challenge, and not only that, but when we're starting to generalize and prove, people don't see that. I mean, that's kind of like the game day, right? When we're out in the real
Right.
world and the dog's behaving and people are very impressed, but they don't see the hours and hours and the thousands of repetitions that have gone behind the scenes during that practice. And I think that's it, is that, the work behind this is work. I mean, it's not a party. I mean, there is a party aspect to it.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what, Bill? I get a ton of questions about that phase because people want to know, well, what do I do when the dog, they worry about it too much. And here's what I tell people. You don't have to do exactly what I do. Take the blueprint and make it your own. Everyone has a different style and different personality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So once you're through that conditioning phase, you could play with it and do what makes you comfortable. So they'll always ask a question. So if you go out in public and, we talk about the 4 different combinations we use in the intermittent phase. So let's say your dog's at the end of a long line, you have a 30-foot line and there's distractions around, and you're going to call the dog and there's not going to be any e-collar usage, but you're going to reward, okay? So you call the dog, Luca, come, and he doesn't come immediately. Well, that means now you change it up. That's where the tap comes immediately after the command when the dog don't respond, and you could still reward, okay? You make it very clear to the dog. Just because you didn't plan on using the e-collar there, that's where it comes in after the command, when the dog doesn't respond. Because at that point, I promise you, if he understands it well, he's going to turn and come flying to you. And just because he didn't the first time, that doesn't mean you can't reward and make it a big, happy process. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I mean, people get so rigid and they hire a professional and they're paying money and they want to get it right. And I
Yeah.
understand it, but there
Yeah.
is some aspect of this that is intuitive. And I tell them, look at,
Yeah.
just like Larry's saying, like people are different, their environment's different. And just like the 4 variables. So we're talking about a couple things. The 4 variables of training that we're going to work on, help generalizing. That's the distance, distraction, duration, location. And then Larry's also talking about the 4 phases that he uses in the intermittent phase. Okay, so I don't want you to get those confused. And that is e-collar with reward, e-collar without reward, no e-collar with reward, no e-collar, no reward.
Right. And let
Okay.
me give credit there, okay? Those 4 combinations, I've been teaching that for a long time. And I want you to know right now, I've been with my wife 28 years, since high school, for high school sweethearts. I'm drinking Larceny bourbon right now. For some reason, she just brought me a bottle of water, and I'm truly offended. I'm truly, this can totally change our relationship from here on out, okay?
We got
Right
it on
here,
camera.
yes, she will not be treating this body like an amusement park tonight. Let me tell you, I'm going to withhold. Okay. But those 4 combinations, Bill, I've been teaching that for a long time, except I wasn't very clear with it. I was very vague in teaching. And I used to tell people this is where sometimes you're using the e-collar, sometimes you're not, every other time, every 5th time. And then I went to a Tobias Olenek seminar. He's a phenomenal trainer out of Germany, and I believe Tobias also follows a Bart Ballone system real good. Phenomenal trainer, great guy, puts the well-being of the animal first,
Good.
which at that level, on the international level, is very hard to find sometimes. And I went to his seminar because I don't go to a lot of seminars, but I said, if I learn something, great. If not, I want to see how other people are doing seminars so I can learn how to give a better seminar. And when he showed that, he broke it down like that. And I said, son of a bitch, right there. And he's like he did. I said, what? And I said, that's perfect. I teach the same thing. We teach very similarly. I said, but you're teaching it much better. And I said, I'm going to steal that and use it. And once I made it that clear, people, when they're starting off, especially when you're not a professional dog trainer, you got to remember, most of the people we deal with are average dog owners.
Yes.
You have to be very specific. And once I started implementing it like that in a very clear pattern, thanks to Tobias, man, game changer. He was teaching it much better than me. So full power to you, my brother. He loves AC/DC. One of the things I loved about his workshop, I was probably the first one that showed up, and he's an AC/DC fanatic, and he had AC/DC cranking in the classroom. Like, this is pretty good,
Awesome.
Very important.
Well, and that's it. We owe it to these dogs, and that's why I do these live streams, and talk to people and just discuss, various different experts out there. It's just to get people to know them and also see what we deal with. And then also I started that live page where people can see the process.
It's awesome.
And see,
it's great.
That Omar von Mueller is one of my heroes. Can you believe that we're watching him train his dogs every day?
Dude, bro, that dude is ridiculous. Omar is ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
The things that, see, my mind don't work like his.
Yeah, mine either. That's why I want to know, like, how the heck, and I just want to watch, just like you.
That's it. You want to
really
teach your dog something, you go to Omar, let him show you. Hats off to you, Omar. The best in the business when it comes to that stuff. He really is phenomenal.
Yeah, he just started his own live page. We got to shout him out. www.omar. And then I have my own live page too, bowwowbill.live and omarvanmueller.live. But the reason why I do this is because I want people to see the process, and that, even as dog trainers, it's work. There you go. That didn't sound like water there.
Yeah, that was apple juice.
Okay, good. Apple juice that has been fermented. No, corn juice. A little corn juice that has been through the still a couple times. And then here's my paid page. My paid Omar is $40 a month, and mine is $19.95 a month. And mine is basically you see me train my little Rugrats. I got one of them right here.
Yeah, that dog is awesome, man. I really, really like her. I like her a lot.
She's going to be a legendary dog, and she's looking at two chickens right now outside the window, and so she's watching chicken TV while everybody watches this. So
that's awesome.
BellaBill.live, check it out if you want to see a little bit more of what I do. But yeah, that's it, man. And I think that's it. It's just showing us that we don't know squat about what we're doing, man. And then just like when you caught the bug watching this Malinois, I mean, it just does something to us where we're like, oh my gosh, I never knew that this was possible. Yeah. And then you want to share it, especially when you see better ways of getting and achieving it.
Yeah. Well, I still, when I do a workshop and I pull something out of my butt to fix a dog that another trainer hasn't been able to conquer. And I was just telling the guys over at Canine Paradigm, I did a podcast with them out of Australia. Awesome dudes, great podcast. I told them I pulled some shit out that people are like, this dude's amazing. But what they don't understand is I learned that from someone else. Yeah. I didn't come up with it. I didn't invent it. I've seen other people, someone else far before me. And all the Bart Ballone seminars I went to, all the times I was fortunate enough to work with him, it was just a game changer. And so sometimes when someone presents something with a dog that no one knows what to do with, I could reach back and remember these things that helped this dog that was much worse. And it makes me look like a genius. I'm not. I am an extremely handsome fellow, but I'm not a genius. I have to give other people credit where credit's due. And that's what dog training is. No one invented anything. Right. We've all learned from, that whole right leg swing thing, I think I invented that. So I'm going to take credit for that. I've never seen anyone do that. But honestly, all kidding aside, everyone learns from each other. I wish we can bring the purely positive people and the balance training people a little closer together. I really do.
I think we're we're starting to get the extremes, and the people that. But that's it. Is that we owe it to these dogs?
Yeah,
and you know what? Common factor
Take the
here.
Extremes on each side, Bill. The extreme balance trainers, the extreme, and fuck them. Go your own. I don't know if I can say that. I'm so sorry.
No, do your thing, man. You're good.
Send them on their own way, because that's the cancer that holds everyone back.
Well, and we're in the emotional arena, though. That's what it is, Larry, is that we're in the emotional arena. People are 10 times more likely to act based on emotion. And that's where, like, so many corporations try to get their products. They spend billions and billions of dollars trying to get their products in the emotional light. But, just like people love their dogs, but they also it can be very salacious. I've gotten some death threats from from purely positive, and it's kind of ironic here. We have a question here. Daniel Caruso says, I find myself reacting a bit with e-collars for barks. Wrong approach for long-term question. So dog barks and correct for quiet, then reward. Wait. So dog barks and correct for quiet, then reward. Thanks, guys. Love this.
Yeah, here's the thing, Daniel. If you taught the e-collar properly, go ahead and correct it. A lot of people think that I'm like anti-correction with the e-collar. No, I'm not. Just spend a few weeks to teach the dog and then correct them. Stop it. But another thing I do, I had a lady drive down from New England with a hellacious barker. I mean, bad in the car. Barked the whole way down. The first thing I did with that dog was teach the dog how to bark on command. Because once you teach a dog how to do something on command, very easy to stop it. But at the same time, once I taught the dog how to bark on command, I'm going to correct it when I don't want it. Very, very simple. But yes, if you've spent the time to teach the e-collar properly, go ahead and correct it. Totally okay. Totally okay. Just make sure the dog understands why it's being corrected. Don't leave the confusion there. That's where people fail. When something happens to the dog and it's like, holy shit, why did you do that? The dog should never ask why. The dog should know why. Okay? Very simple.
Yeah. And you leave your corrections. You don't dial them up or down. You
No,
find that working level, or what if, I mean, and he should know that working level, or
well, here's the thing, and you're going to get different answers on this. All I can say is the way I do it. Okay.
yeah.
So when we're teaching the dog, when we're conditioning the dog, all that stuff around the home, the intermittent phase, we're on the dog's lowest working level. That's how we're teaching. Okay. But the first time I take that dog out in public, if that dog works on a 6 on the mini educator, and those are the products I use the mini educator on all dogs. Okay. Very simple. If the dog works on a 6 on the mini educator, when I go out in public, I'm not going to have it on a 6. The dog's not going to feel that. He's not going to feel. If a cat runs by with a raw ribeye steak strapped to its back and hot dogs flying out of its ass, will that level 6 pay attention to that? Will that help that dog? No, not at all. So you have to have some common sense and understand that particular dog. Set the e-collar on the appropriate level when you go out, and then you're only using it when you have to. And it makes a very bold statement and that doesn't mean hammer the dog. You use whatever level you have to, but you always want it to be the least amount of conflict possible. That's simple. Every now and then, listen, I did a workshop in Nebraska a couple of weeks ago. I went live on Facebook. People encouraged me against that. They said that's a big mistake because anything can happen live and you can fail. That's okay. We fail as dog trainers all the time. People have to see that. They have to see the real shit if they're going to believe you.
It's not perfect, man.
Okay.
And yeah, we make mistakes, and just like what we were saying, it's not rigid, and we're not perfect either. And our dogs are not perfect, dude. In fact, you know what I'm gonna excuse me. I'm gonna do a dog trainer confessional episode.
Yeah, definitely. We don't have robot dogs, and in that seminar, exactly. Bill, we took a pit bull out, a female pit bull that was so unbelievably dog aggressive. That dog attacked a statue of a dog before it came in. So one of the trainers hosting it was the trainer training this dog. They didn't want to bring it out. They didn't want to disrupt and show the dog during this seminar. I said, bring it out. And so hats off to her for having the balls to take this dog on and to bring it out. And we filmed it, and I show people. But one of the first things I did with that dog, I corrected it on the e-collar right off the start on a level 90. Something I preach against all the time, right? I tell people, don't do that. But that particular dog needed that. Just a slap in the ass, a slap in the face saying, hey, look, we're here. You have to come out of this. And then we were able to work with her. And in no time, we were down on low levels. Yeah. But that particular dog did. That was a scary dog. When a dog attacks a statue to kill it, that's a problem. Okay? So it's very simple. We help that dog right away or the dog dies. It dies. There's no question about it. Absolutely. So if I trained 1,000 dogs, that might happen. What I did with that particular dog might happen once out of 1,000 dogs. And I thought it was very important for people to see that. I'm never going to bullshit anyone. I'm going to show everyone the real deal. But the people there saw the change in that dog, not because of that correction, because after that correction right off the start, we were able to start working with the dog. We had to do something to where we could make some headway to spend some time with that dog as a dog. Because at that moment, the dog wasn't a dog. It was just a killer. There's a big difference. We want to work the dog, not the killer.
Yeah. Well, I think that awareness, it brings that awareness right here, man. Instead of way out here. And some of those dogs are halfway down that block before they're even out the door.
Absolutely.
And that's what I work with my clients is like, look, we need this dog paying attention to us. And then we're going to start to work them into different areas where we can help generalize, or that intermittent phase where you talk about, where we stay as long as we need to, and let that dog feedback to us. But yeah, like some of the dogs, they need to come to Jesus, or
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
or get a hold of yourself, kind of thing. Like this stops right now, and I need your attention right here, and I'm not asking.
Yeah, and it
It's
doesn't happen a lot, but sometimes it does, and that's
yes.
why I put a chapter in that book on my worst first lesson ever. It
I'm
was
glad you did.
man, it was demoralizing, Bill.
Moose,
Yeah,
Moose, the black lab, dude.
yeah,
I'll
he was
remember.
he was a yellow lab, and
Oh, yellow lab,
exactly, he wasn't a pit bull, he
right
wasn't a
here.
Rottweiler, he was a lab, and that dog wore my ass out.
Well,
He made me look like a dumbass in front of many people because this
he
guy
stopped.
lived
He
right
looked
next
at
to
the owner.
Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee. He made me. It got so bad that I stopped and looked at the owner, and I remember the owner was a great guy. He was this big, muscled up dude. Good guy, and he thought like he had heard great things about me. I stopped at one point. I looked at him and I said, "I swear to you, I'm actually really good at this." It was that bad. That dog was a lunatic, man, an absolute lunatic. But he turned around to be very great. And that was one time out of many dogs that I had to go extreme just to get the dog to be a dog. That was it.
Yeah.
He was a nut. He made me look bad for sure.
Well, it's the exuberance versus the aggression of the pit bull. The exuberance here, just losing their mind,
Yeah,
and then you
yeah.
can't reach it,
And
you know.
actually, he was probably a dream dog for most dog trainers, like to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
as their
totally.
own dog, because he was just a nice, lean, muscled up yellow lab that
Working
was
lab.
just full of life, man. Really nice dog. And you see some of these labs. I was at a Bart Malone seminar once, and Pat Nolan, who's legendary with the e-collar, phenomenal dog trainer. All respects to him, like really, really legendary dog trainer, pioneer in e-collar world. One of the best dogs I saw there that weekend. There were some insane Dutch Shepherds and Malinois. Maybe the best dog I saw was one of Pat Nolan's Black Labs. Phenomenal dog, like
Really.
batshit crazy, man. It was pretty amazing. Yeah.
I've seen those labs get pretty wild, dude. So I was reading it. I was just like, oh man, I'm right there with you. And you're like, it's hot, I'm sweaty, and it's
Yeah.
like 45 minutes, and I can't even get, And I'm like, I've been there. I've so been there. Uh,
Absolutely.
Amanda says the concept is so hard for most people. They want an easy program. That's what they're talking about. They're talking about borrowing from other people,
Yeah.
giving credit. That's in the talent code. Steal it and use it for yourself. I saw that you were talking about the talent code recently, and I've read that book too. I highly recommend it. I'm going to put a link for that book, Talent Code, in the comments section here.
Listen, for a book to hold my attention, it takes something because I get bored really easy. That book, I couldn't put it down. Phenomenal. Okay. And that book was recommended by Michael Malone, Bart's wife, to Bart, and he talked about it, but it was recommended from Scott Sanchez of Sit Means Sit to Michael.
Oh
So
wow.
you got to always give credit where credit's due. Okay. I mean, very important. Give people credit. And so that went from Scott Sanchez to Michael Malone to Bart Malone to the rest of the world. Because
Yeah.
if Bart Malone says this is our Bible of dog training, well, guess what? Every dog trainer is going to run out and say something. If Bart Malone says something, if Ivan Balabanov says something, their voice is a lot bigger than my voice. People are going to run out and listen to it, because they've proven themselves to be the best of the best. Very important. These guys have done so much for dog training. We can never repay with those two. And there's a few others also. It's not just them. There's some phenomenal dog trainers out there. There's a book I have right now. Listen, I paid like $100 for it. Holy crap. My wife just heard that. She's making the kids dinner. I wish I didn't say that out loud. It was a $100 book. It's called Successful Together. It's a book for IPO competitors. I don't
Really?
compete in an IPO, but here's the deal. If I could take one thing to learn that I didn't know or make myself better, I'm going to do it. I'm going to educate myself. And it's written by, I believe it's Peter Shirk, who's a world-class IPO competitor. It's a $100 book, okay? It's very technical, but it was worth every penny to me because, for one, there were things I took out of the book that I loved. But what was more important, there were things that I took out of that book that validated what I do. So I've caught a lot of grief from people, say from using food, teaching the out command. Okay, so when you take a world champion IPO competitor, which I believe Peter Shirk is, and I hope I say his name correctly, that's one of the things he does to teach his dog the out in there. But when I say it, I'm not a world champion IPO competitor, so people are going to balk at it. But I don't teach anything one way. If I'm going to teach the out, I teach it multiple ways. So if you watch a video with Luca, that dog bites like a freaking hyena. Okay, he bites with everything he has, and I don't have to scream and yell at him. But when I say out, I don't have to raise my voice. He outs. When I say bite, he attacks you like a freaking hyena. And if I go dead and stand there for an hour, he doesn't release. But if I say out, he releases. And I use food with him, but I've done multiple things with him. I think where a lot of us fail as dog trainers, Bill, we go to one thing.
Yeah.
We try one method. That's a mistake.
Absolutely,
I'm going to use multiple methods to teach one behavior. And so when I got that book, right now I have a bunch of books from dog trainers that they sent me to read to see if I like them. I'm not a tremendous reader, but I owe it to them to read it. And hopefully, if they're good books, I will tell people, hey, this is a great book. But I'm very far behind on it because of my time restraints. But if something's good, guys, I want to share it. I don't want to keep it to myself. I really don't. Because if I keep it to myself, it makes me a douchebag. And that's selfish. It's selfish. If I share it, it helps dogs.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm in this for. You could hate my guts. People can hate me. No dog ever will. That's my goal. So if I can give information to someone that I can't stand, that I could despise, but he could help one dog stay out of a shelter, one dog being from put down, I'm all for it. I'm never going to put myself above the welfare of the animal. It's just not going to happen, and I'm not perfect, believe me. I make plenty of mistakes.
Well, and that's it is remember why we're doing this, man. And as we get into some of these circles in the dog training world, I mean they get their own little, I don't know, their own little fraternities and whatnot. It's their own politics. It's just very interesting. And always remember that we're doing this for the dogs. And people ask me, how would they know if I was a success? I would determine if I was a success if we had a big dent in the amount of dogs being put to sleep every year and the big dent in the amount of children being bit by dogs, because we are doing our job with educating the public the proper behavior of these animals, and that's it. We owe it to them.
Listen, it's very easy to call a dog trainer or set something up to go work with a trainer you like. Very, very easy. You want to see some real progress? Go work with a trainer that you can't fucking stand, that a trainer can't stand you. Go do it. Go work with him. And I guarantee you won't hate that cocksucker as much as you did beforehand. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Because, see, you have something.
I got a couple that I could work with right now then.
Exactly. If someone called me tomorrow that I don't like or that doesn't like me, there's plenty of people that don't like me, and I make myself easy not to like. I understand that. It's not my intention, believe me. I would do it. I would do it. And I guarantee you when we're done, they're going to say, you know what, that guy's pretty cool. He's not that bad. But we always want to stay. We talk about getting the dog out of their comfort zone. Well, listen, fucker, you get out of your comfort zone. Go work with someone you don't like. And I guarantee you will benefit from it. I promise you. I promise you.
Wow. And that's that's what we're doing here. Is the neural connections are basically that comfort zone, and as we expand that mind of possibilities and show them a different form of what's possible, we are expanding that comfort zone. And have you expanded your comfort zone? And and not only that, but we need an eclectic knowledge base as dog trainers, because this isn't one size fits all. Like, we see a blanket strategy does not work. We need pearls of wisdom that we can apply to a specific behavior. If there's a dog that I can work purely positive, that is super soft, that I'm doing it. Yeah. If there's a dog that I need to have a come to Jesus with to save their life, I'm doing it. Whatever.
There's not a dog trainer out there you can't learn something from. There's not a dog trainer out there I can't learn something from, because everyone does
Absolutely.
everything different, and we all have different strengths. We all have different weaknesses, but you got to put yourself out there. I've never been to an IACP conference ever,
Are
and
you going to go this year?
man, I want to so bad, but my government job, September is the month where the United Nations holds their world leader, not seminar, assembly.
Okay.
Okay. And so now I'm forced to go to the United Nations and protect the world leader. So what happens is, I'll be assigned to the president of Zimbabwe or Israel, something like that, and I have to go protect him. I don't want to go, but if we don't get enough volunteers, I'm up to go. I would die to go to the IACP, but I guarantee you, I know if I go to the IACP, you're going to see clusters of groups of cliques of people that like each other and are comfortable. Listen, all you fuckers going to the IACP, go seek out someone you don't like. Go seek out someone who doesn't like you. Drink a few beers with them. Talk about dogs, and I guarantee you'll be better for it. We need it in the industry. We just need it. So if you think
Well,
you're so unselfish, go do that.
I'd say even people from the IACP go to the ADPT or whatever, the other one.
Right.
Let's go to their seminar and invite them to whatever. We need to bridge this gap because the dogs are going to benefit from it. And we can glean so much from the positive world, man. I mean, they got dogs blowing bubbles underwater. They got, dogs riding skateboards. I mean, that's it. It's like we can take the dogs to a certain level. And then once they're there, that foundation is laid. The positives can take them to the moon.
Listen, I'm
You know?
known as the e-collar guy, right? And like 95, 96% of what I do is positive.
Yeah.
Everything is taught with food and motivation.
Yeah.
But yet every day I get more emails than I could look at. Like, how come you're not using an e-collar with Mango? Mango was 4 months old. She's going to know everything she will ever need to know before I ever put an e-collar on there. I use
Yes.
e-collars for one reason, and that is to provide my dog that off-leash freedom no matter where we're at. Now, I happen to be halfway decent with the tool, but it's only because I understand the dog. So if I want to make the things she knows better, faster, sharper, if I want to stop the things I don't like, then I can. But she's not going to have an e-collar on her. I put an e-collar on Luca at 9 months old, and I was going to wait till a year. The only reason I put it on at 9 months old is because when I would be working with him or playing with him and playing frisbee out in front of my house, if someone was walking past, he started being a dick at 9 months old and running and growling and barking at people. He would never do nothing. He wouldn't leave my property, but it was scary shit,
Yeah.
So at 9 months old, I knew, hey, it's time. I have to start now so I can end that. With Buddy, my daughter's golden doodle, he was 5 months old, the youngest I've ever done a dog. We built a new house. We moved in January in the middle of winter. Everything around our house was mud. So Buddy was always on a leash because if I let him loose, he wouldn't run away, but he'd be covered in mud. Imagine a golden doodle with long curly hair covered in mud. So at 5 months
The
old, I
mop.
came home and I told my daughter, today we start the e-collar training. Day 2, he was completely off leash and reliable and never had to run in the mud. We gave him a better life because now he was able to be off leash. Bruno, my Rottweiler, many people say the best trained, best behaved dog they ever seen.
Is this Bruno here?
Yes, sir. Well, no, that's not Bruno, actually.
Okay.
I had pictures of Bruno but the quality wasn't good enough. A lot of people think that is, but it's not. It looks like Bruno.
That's a great shot.
Yeah, it is. John Thompson, thank you for that cover and the help with my book. But Bruno didn't see an e-collar until he was 4. He didn't need an e-collar for anything. But I wanted to use him as an ambassador for the breed and the e-collar. So they're all different. I don't have protocols. I hate that word. Nothing is set in stone. I train the dog that's sitting in front of me. I give that dog what it needs. That's simple.
Yeah. Well, and that's it. We're not trained the Rottweiler we trained before. It's always at the end of the leash. Keep showing good work. Keep making videos. Stephanie Krohn says you owe it all to your daughter. This is Sophia hijacking mom's phone. Go, Sophia,
Hey, go
go.
take care of Nemo, Sophia. What are you doing on the phone? It shows that you're taking care of our crazy little bitch.
Love your humility, Larry. You set a great example, all of us, to always keep an open mind.
Thank you, Amanda.
Yep, and always the only way to learn. That's right. Leave that mind
Yeah.
open. And a lot of times, this is what happens: is that people take new information and they hold it against beliefs before they disseminate or to process it. Right, and so make sure we know what the beliefs are. Thank you so much, Larry. Totally knows what it means. This helps clear up a lot. Let's see here. Love Pat Nolan. Ride the lightning, catch the thunder. Yep. Talking about the. Oh, now they're talking about his cheeks are getting rosy. Your cheeks are getting rosy. There we go. We're off
Damn
to it.
apple juice.
Yeah, that apple juice is spicy. I like how you said I started using the tool because I understood the dog. It's not just about understanding the tool, but knowing when the dog is ready for it.
Absolutely, Alex. Thank you, brother. You're 100% right. Perfectly said. Absolutely.
Yeah. And the dog, when they're testing the water, when we got a problem, is be like, okay, cool. I mean, the dog's ready for it. I mean, how can we apply this to make the dog's life better? But just like when we were talking and what you say, one of your quotes here, I just opened it right up, is that relationship is very important, especially when we're trying to, correct that dog. Because if you say in your book, corrections have so much more meaning when the relationship is already there.
Listen, it's relationship is everything, Bill. It's everything. If I take a dog to my home that I've never met and I implement some kind of harsh correction, that dog is always, that's what that dog's going to know. Okay? I'm an asshole. That's it. If I build that dog up, I make it very clear to him what is expected. If he looks to me as I'm his everything, and that's what I want them to do, even with a client's dog, if I have to correct them, what happens is the correction becomes a lot more mild. I never have to implement a harsh correction to a client's dog. I never have to. It's so rare. It's unbelievable. Okay? So rare. And when it does happen, that dog is like, holy shit, I am so sorry. Don't be upset with me. We are still best friends, right? Yes. You watch this dog I have here, Hank, now. He is, man, I love this dog so much. I'm treating him.
You can tell you guys got a good relationship.
Man, the dog melts me. He absolutely melts me, Bill. He's a phenomenal dog. If I have to correct him for something, and sometimes I do, because you ever see that video when the dogs get the zoomies?
Yeah.
Imagine a 150-pound dog getting the
man.
zoomies, and he wants to run into me. It hurts like hell.
I've had it happen.
He hit me with his tail so hard in the wiener, he almost dropped me for the wiener. So I can't allow him to hit me. I can't, because it really, really hurts. I have to be able to tell him, Hank, stay over there. I don't need you. But yet my wife walks in the yard with me earlier, and he runs up to her and sits down, and he looks at her with love, and she's massaging him, and he's about to fall down in complete love. That's dog training. Okay?
Yeah.
We're training that dog. Has nothing to do with commands. When someone puts their trust in me and gives me their dog, I'm going to treat that dog better than he's treated at home. Plain and simple. So if I have to go to someone's home to do a follow-up after a board and train, the dogs can't lie. When I walk in and that dog goes apeshit and is loving on me, it doesn't matter what the dog knows or doesn't know. I see the look on the owner's face. They're smiling from ear to ear. All right? Yeah. I get people who call me every day that have other trainers. The trainer showed up to the house, the dog's hiding behind the couch. Those exact words are very common. Don't dismiss what your dog's trying to tell you. Listen to the dog. If the dog's telling you something, no dog should hide behind the couch when he sees your trainer. Plain and simple. The dog should look, see it's a trainer, and go, this son of a bitch, this is who I want to be with right now. Peace. It's holiday weekend. I'm going to party. That's what it's supposed to be, because that's where the dog learns the most. I promise you.
Yeah. Well, and I think that a lot of expectations that are laid upon these trainers by themselves, they put that relationship in the back seat where, man, and even with Nelson, when I was what I learned from him is just like sometimes you just have to be with the dog.
Man, that's
You know.
perfect. Yeah, yeah. And I've never worked with Nelson. I've never gone to. I'd love to. I'd like to,
Oh yeah, I think he would love it.
but that's perfect, and sometimes that's what I do. I'm just with them.
Yeah.
That is it. If I have a dog here that I'm thinking this dog might want to hurt me and he's not comfortable with me, I'm just gonna, I'll sit outside his pen and read a book for a very long time, hang out with him. I'll never put a
Yes.
leash on him. I'll do everything very, very subtle and just be with the dog. And you know what happens, Bill? They all give in, and every dog needs somebody.
Yes.
So when that dog is with you and you're not doing anything to make that dog uncomfortable, or you're not putting excessive pressure on the dog, they all need somebody. If you're that guy there or you're that girl there, you're going to be the one. Once you become that one, you got them. Training's easy after that.
Yes. Well, that's what he says is that and like the dog I'm working with now, there's a feral dog that probably wasn't outside if they were owned. Is that first the dog learns that they can trust you, and then the dog starts to learn that they can trust the situations that you put them in, and then the dog eventually learns to trust themselves.
Absolutely.
Especially with the rehab work that I'm doing, not necessarily with puppies and stuff, but dogs that have been reactive in certain situations. So first dog trusts you, trusts the situations, and then learns to trust himself.
Well
And
said. That's great. That's great.
That's Nelson Hodges. So one of my guys, and it takes months. The average neural reconnection time is 28 to 45 days.
Yeah.
And so right when we're doing this intermittent phase, and I can see why, when you do board and trains, that you're focusing 100% on that.
Yeah.
Because that's that neural
Listen, you got to understand something, Bill. I take one dog at a time for board and train. That's it. I'm not doing this to get rich. I could hire a bunch of people right now and make a ton of money. I could. I have 2 email addresses. One has 30-something unread emails, 30,000-something unread emails. The other one has 20-something unread emails, all dog related. I could become very wealthy if I hire a bunch of people to train the dog. If I do that, I'm not training the dog. I'm doing it to make money. And I'm having someone that doesn't have the experience or the time in I do, and then they're getting the quality of that person, which may be doing their best, but it takes a long time, and a lot of dogs to get those results. And I'm one of those weird people. I don't have to do this to make a living. I make a good living. I make a good 6-figure living with my government job. My wife makes a good 6-figure living as a vice president of a medical facility. She's hotter than shit, too. She really is. So I have a really good-looking wife who makes a lot of money. I'm sorry. So my daughter's here. I'm so sorry, Sophia. Go inside.
She's like,
Yeah. But so I don't have to do this to make money. I do have that advantage. I know there are a lot of trainers that have to feed their family through dog training. So I understand that. I'm not an idiot. I know everyone can't be as selective as I can. I've never done this to make a ton of money. The money has come. I get paid handsomely to train a dog.
Yeah.
When I wrote the book,
as you should.
I never wrote the book to make money. That book has been so successful. I looked at people sent me several lists recently on Amazon bestseller dog training books. I am ahead of people that I really look up to. Books that are phenomenal, really big names, and my book is ahead of theirs because I wrote it to actually help people. I kept it simple. I kept it at about $10 so everyone can afford it. And with that being said, I have sent hundreds of copies to people for free that couldn't afford it. Well, people say, how could someone not afford a book for $10? Guess what? There's people in Zambia, Africa, that emailed me, I wish I could have your book. I don't have any money. These are people that live in Africa that I have had the privilege of sending my book to. If someone emails me from Africa who can't spend $10 on a book, I'm going to send you my book. Plain and simple. If someone from Israel sends me an email and says, I would like a shirt, one of your shirts, can you send it to me? I'm not going to charge you for a shirt because it costs, $40, $50 just to send it in shipping. I'm never going to charge someone that to send them a shirt. My shirt's not worth that with my name on it. I send it to them for free. If you want to wear my shirt with my company logo in Israel, I'm going to send it to you. Okay, plain and simple, because that's a privilege to me, not the person wearing it. It's a privilege to me, and that is more than I deserve. I'm going to give you all I can. That's simple.
Well, talk about your group classes.
Yeah, well, yes, my group classes. So
That
there's
that kind of
there's people that can't afford quality dog training, or I can't get to. I just can't. I have a family. Okay, I have to be able to spend time with my wife and kids. I can't just do all dog training. And until I retire and I have those extra 8 to 10 hours a day, it'll be a little easier. But in that meantime, my family has to come first. I can't take on every client. So I offer the free group classes so people that either can't afford it or that I can't get to can come. And they've been extremely successful. Now, with that being said, when I do those free group classes, I get very nervous, very stressed, because I don't want people driving from far away for a few hours, but they do. So if you get someone that drives from 8 hours away to come to a 2 hour class, I say it's a 2 hour class. Those 2 hour classes always wind up going 4 or 5 hours. Okay. I don't want someone driving that far away and then me disappointing you. I do the free weekend seminars for combat veterans because they deserve it. Plain and simple. That's all there is to it. If you are a combat veteran, you should be treated much better than you are. So for me to host and put on a free workshop for combat veterans and have all these veterans come in from all over the country, I was overwhelmed. It really got to me. Okay. That's not me giving to them. That's them giving to me. Okay. I get a lot more out of it than they do. And I do paid workshops. They never feel nearly as good. I've never left a workshop thinking, man, those people got their money's worth. I always leave thinking, man, I hate this shit. It's very hard to make everyone happy. I do. But
can't please everybody.
When you do a free workshop for a combat veteran or someone in that kind of field, I love that. And I'm going to continue to do that because that's where I feel best. I want my kids to be able to see that. It's very important for them, and that's why they come to these things. Okay, we have to show our kids these things. If you have something to give, give it. Give it to the people who deserve it. There's always going to be people there that can pay for it, but give it to the people who deserve it and maybe can't pay for it. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely, and could benefit their life, and sometimes there is financial hurdles and firewalls to this. And I often tell people, because I also do home remedy stuff for people that they can maybe make a little bit cheaper or have a like budget, taking care of their dogs on a budget, because I think that it is so important. These dogs add so much value to our lives and put our minds in such a wonderful place, no matter what's going on in our life or what has gone on in our life before. And that's why PTSDs are dogs are so successful with some of these veterans, and I've worked with them myself. Even on my property, I had to go and get on one of my neighbors who was shooting because my veteran that I was working with, his dog, he had his head injury, and we were teaching the dog to walk, to help him walk straight. The guy was walking to the left, and I wanted the dog to just kind of be right there, be that compass. And we were walking up and down my driveway. Repetition is the mother of learning, and so we need a spot that we can do it over and over and over again. And my neighbor started shooting and I could see the guy. I mean, he was trying to be a little machismo about it, but I could really see that it was kind of affecting him and kind of putting him in a different place, just like you see with the dogs, man. Yeah. Just like you see how dogs are going to start shutting down and stuff. And I'm like, hey, man, we're done for the day. You did a wonderful job. go practice this at home, and then we'll talk later. And then I walked up to my neighbor and I just let him know, hey, what was going on. And that neighbor, he felt so bad, dude. And it was so
Yeah,
cool to see, you know, just like, oh, if that ever happens again, you call me right away. And,
that's
you know,
awesome.
and
That's
that's, you know,
listen. We've gotten so deep into political bullshit these days. You know, just forget whatever side you're on.
yeah,
Not everyone who goes to war um, decided to do that on purpose. They're Democrats, they're Republicans. It doesn't matter. That's the beautiful thing about dog training. Politics
yes.
never comes up. Dogs don't give a shit what party you belong to, you know? But when you are able to help someone who went through that, I've talked to a lot of these guys, and it's gut wrenching. The
Mhm.
reason I started doing the free seminars for combat vets is because of my wife. I get emails every day, beautiful emails from people that are really touching to me and keep me going. Because every day I wake up and think, I don't have to do this anymore. I don't need the money, you know. And but then you get these emails that are incredible. And there was one in particular that it choked me up bad. Like it really got to me. And it was from a soldier that was in the Middle East when I was reading it. And it was unbelievable. And I showed my wife. And she's like, you got to do something for these guys. I'm like, what? We had just trained a personal protection dog for a wounded soldier. Okay. Double amputee, very prominent person in a high position. We took a dog, kept it for a year, trained it for that family. That was horrible. I'll never do that again because I gave away not a trained dog, I gave away my dog. It was tough, but it was worth it because of the family it went to. So she
Yeah.
said, you got to do something. I was like, what? She's like, do seminars just for these guys. Do it for free. It was like, you're right. You know, she's hot and she's smart. So I was like, okay, we'll do it. And that's why I started doing it. The email was overwhelming to me. And if I could take part in something that small, and the first one I did was the people that came were amazing. Like, really, it's very hard to be a tough guy when you got these combat veterans coming up to you. And the first one I did, the local news came out to film a big part of it. And while they're filming it, they're coming out and giving me, one of the former soldiers gave me some beautiful gifts and really, and they got me, crying on the news. That's not cool because I'm supposed to be a tough guy.
Yeah.
But listen, we have to help these guys. Dogs do that. Dogs make a big difference,
Mm.
a really big difference. So for me, I'm very fortunate. I'm very blessed that I get to do that and that they give me the opportunity to do so. And as long as they want it, I'm going to do it. It's that simple, you know?
Yeah, will be the change that you wish to seek in the world. That's what Gandhi said, and that's it, man. Is we have the opportunity, and that's why we're sitting here live, you know, talking to everybody out there. Is, you know, no, we're not getting paid, or there's just something that I saw that I was like, man, this guy's cool. I saw you listing your book, and I was like, I'm gonna get that book. I read it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is rad. I'm gonna start implementing some of this stuff right away. I'm implementing the constant, and also I'm going to be introducing this caller a little bit differently with my clients, and I might even shorten my training lead too a little bit. But as a trainer, you know, it just kind of makes sense on how this stuff is used, and you know, it's just all about applying it, and you know, being that which is making dogs' lives better and continue to do so, right?
It's the little things, Bill, the little things that the average person or maybe the average trainer doesn't see. And I'm starting to learn that through the workshops I do. Listen, the first few workshops I did were terrible. I feel bad. I feel like I robbed the people. Nashville, New York, West Virginia, I believe those workshops that I put on, they were my first ones, were terrible. I was horrified. I was scared. I was nervous. After that, they started getting a little better, and I started getting a little more comfortable. But it's a work in it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
You don't want these people showing up. I don't go with a curriculum, because if I do that, if I have a curriculum and this is what I'm going to do, that's to make me feel comfortable. That's to make me feel good. That's to put myself out there and like, look at me. No, if you're paying to come to my workshop, and I've learned this now over the past few, I am your employee. I work for you. I don't come with any curriculum. You tell me what you need, and I will do everything I can to help you. I can't guarantee that I'll help you, but when I really started looking at it more like that, they've gotten better and better. And I've learned to loosen up and just have a good time. So I think the last few workshops I've done were definitely a lot better than the first few I've done, because I was too hung up and too nervous and too tight and too worried about making everyone happy. But now I go and I want to give each individual what they need. Very, very simple. And it's amazing because sometimes you think maybe, the smallest thing you may know, or that you are used to doing, doesn't mean anything. But to a lot of people, a lot of dog owners, a lot of dog trainers, it means the world, because
Yeah.
they're not there. They don't have the time or the experience. And that's what I'm really starting to see now. So the last few workshops I've done, I've really enjoyed. Like, the people that show up are just absolutely phenomenal. They really are.
Well, and that's it. You learn as you go. And if you're not embarrassed, that's what I tell people. If you're not embarrassed by your first, your first class, your first product or whatever, then you waited too long, man. You need to get out there and you need to be vulnerable and you need to, help some dogs. I mean, it's not going to be polished. Marshall says, thanks for putting the book out. It was my Father Day present.
Thank you so much, Marshall. That's huge honor. Huge honor.
Sarah McKenzie says, any information on the training club?
Yeah, so the training club, I do these free group classes, and the problem, there's good and there's bad with the training group classes. The problem with the free group classes, Bill, is people show up, everyone has a problem. And so
Yes.
I work with each dog and each handler individually to address their problem. It's very difficult. It's very difficult, but we do it. I think more people, you have clubs, people who compete in IPO or Schützen have training clubs where they meet
Yeah.
and they train. If you do Mondio Ring, you have a club, you meet and train. French Ring, you meet and train. PSA, you meet and train. Well, there's not much out there just for people who want to train their dogs. And so if I can get out there and take one of my dogs and just train, I don't want to be an instructor. I don't want to be a leader. I don't want to be a teacher. I want to go out with a group of people with their dogs and just train. If I can help someone, great. If other trainers want to come and train their dogs, great. If they can help people, great. I just want to create a big training club where people are coming and training their dogs around a ton of other people and trainers. There's nothing bad that can come from that. You can't get worse. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, you stay the same, but the chance of that happening is very, very slim. Chances are you're going to get better. You're going to get better, and that's my offer. That's what I'm going to start to do. I don't know the best way to go about it, because the problem is, when I said that, I've received so many messages. I don't think a training group with like 600 or 800 people in it is realistic.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think a lot of those are people wanting to come for me to help them with their problems,
Yes.
and we can't do that. So we have to, maybe limit it down to, I don't know, I won't pick a number, but where we say, you know what, guys, we're meeting at this location this weekend from 8 to 10 a.m. and we are going to work on long recalls, and we're going to work on this, a few things, and that's what we're going to do this weekend. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just like training groups for IPO and Schützen or Mondio Ring, when they meet, let's just meet for everyday dog people who want to train their dogs. That's it.
I think that's a great idea. I think that's missing. We need it more. And I think people sell their dog short a lot of times. And this would show them not only what their dog is capable of by, having other people work with you, but also to set up many different scenarios to proof and to generalize training on the fly,
Absolutely. No doubt.
So, man, we've been talking for a while, but I want to. How do people get a hold of you? I want to. Is
I'm
it
on
best way
Fa-
just to?
I'm on Facebook. I'm not real good about answering emails, text messages, phone calls. Facebook. I'm on Facebook a lot. I keep it real simple. I'm not real good with all it. I'm trying to do the Instagram thing. I'm not very good at it. People send me messages and ask me questions. I don't even know how to answer. I'm trying. I'm getting better. But if you want to get a hold of me, just text me. My phone number is all over my website. It's my website's all over YouTube. But I'm on Facebook. That's where I spend most of my time.
What
I'm
is
an
it?
old guy, and I try to keep it really simple. And if I can help someone, I'll try. I'll do my best. I promise.
Packmasters, www.packmasters.
.com. That's it. But that's my website. You can go there. I have some information there. I don't update it. I don't do things. I have a news section on my website to where, I've written some articles, but the last time I checked, I have several thousand messages to those articles that I can't get to. So Facebook's a pretty easy way to get a hold of me. I'm not big on pushing things and advertising. I'm just not.
So whether you like it or not, if you have a dog, you are training it. The question is, are you training it for good or are you training it for bad? Training starts before training starts.
That's
It is
it.
for how you live with your dog dictates how your dog lives with you. They learn from everything we do, good and bad. They miss nothing. They know us better than we know ourselves. They learn from everything we don't do. Obedience commands don't create a well-behaved dog. Raising a dog and teaching along the way does.
Yes,
No
sir.
parents say they're going outside to train their kids. We just raise them and teach them 24 hours a day and try to provide guidance so eventually our children can make the right decisions on their own. Dogs are no different. Live right with them. They are not children. They are animals and must be respected as such. And they are a precious gift, and they are not here long. And they're not here long enough, so enjoy every minute and never, ever take them for granted.
That's the hardest part, Bill. They go quick, and that's always hard. It's
Yes.
heartbreaking.
I wish they lived longer, but it just shows and speaks to the purity of the energy that is the dog and the beauty that is is that the animal, the bundle of love, the one that I have. I mean, I have one with me all the time, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just so thankful that I get to work with them every single day and share my experiences and observations to help dogs more and more as I live this life. But I appreciate the work that you've done. I've utilized it, and thank you for your time tonight, Larry.
Bill, can't thank you enough, man. I love the way you do your show. Thanks so much for having me, and I appreciate it more than you'll ever know. And I enjoyed this. I really great way to start a long weekend. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
my pleasure. And hold on one second. I'll say goodbye to you on the other end. And definitely I'm going to be tapping you for, excuse me, our dog training confessional. And so think of something that one of your dogs has done
Oh, oh, that's
that
dirty.
you can share. Yeah. And then so just FYI. But thank you so much, Larry. And
Thank you,
hold
Bill.
on. And bye, everybody. And we'll see you
Appreciate
next
it.
time. Have a
Thank you,
wonderful
folks.
weekend.
Peace.